Hello and welcome back to part 2 of Elvis's UK discography. Now in part 1 we ran from 1960 to 1964 and today we're going to run from 1965 right up until the start of 1970. Now 1970 will form a different video because this is going to be quite a lengthy video as it is. There's lots for me to remember, and as I'm getting older I don't remember things as what I used to, but anyway. I'm going to do the best I can, and we're going to jump straight into Girl Happy, released in April of '65. A nice stereo version. You can see behind me is the mono version on the turntable. This will be the first time that RCA would drop the living stereo from the black label and pay special attention to the image of Elvis on the front, as this would later find itself on another album cover. So anyway, number 1. Number 2, Elvis, Flaming Star and Summer Kisses. Essentially, this was the Loving You album. It had the 8 tracks from Loving You with an additional 4 tracks, which would be Flaming Star, Summer Kisses, It's Now or Never, and Are You Lonesome Tonight. Now, Flaming Star and Summer Kisses, up until this point, had not been released, so this was a first. Originally, this was meant to be called Elvis for You. However, it got scrapped, and for whatever reason it never materialised. I do believe though there is one record in existence, and it used to be owned by Albert Hand, who owns the official Elvis Presley fan club of Great Britain, but where that record is now I don't know, but you can imagine it is very rare. This would later be re-released on a small orange label, as rare as hen's teeth. So if you've got a copy, well done you. I don't have a copy. I'd like to get a copy one day, I suppose, but for me it's not about quantity, it is about quality, and I haven't found that right copy yet. This was a UK release only, and a mono release only, not released in stereo. So this didn't find its way across the other side of the pond either, but a really nice record. So that was number 2. Number 3, Elvis for Everyone. This was a 10-year anniversary album for Elvis. It's got quite an eclectic selection of songs on it, dating back from some releases up until kind of mid-60s. I like this album, affectionately known as the orange shirt cover, because the one in America would look like this, which would be completely different. Also, in America, it had Summer Kisses, Winter Tears, which of course had just been released on this one. So there's no need to re-release it again on Elvis for Everyone. So anyway, record number 4 of 1965. But bear in mind, Elvis RCA had been releasing 3 a year, with the exception of 62, where there was 2. We're right up to number 4 of December of '65, because it wasn't unusual. In fact, it was common practice for RCA to release records at Christmas, obviously to fall in with the Yuletide shopping experience, and no doubt loads of people would like to include an Elvis album in their stocking. Now, what's interesting of note on this album is that the image of Elvis is reversed. You can see on the right hand side what the image should have been. Now, it was reversed for some reason. I guess to make him look more Arabian, I don't know. But anyway, this is a stereo version, slightly less common than the mono variant, but a very nice copy. I do have the mono as well, but for some reason I seem to pull out the stereo copies today. And as you can see, in America it was called Harem Scarum, in the UK, Harem Holiday. At some point I will do the USA discography. The reason I haven't done it straight away is because I have quite a number of them, but not a complete collection from the 60s. But anyway, next we are into 1966. And remember when I said about the image from Girl Happy? Well, it would find its way on the album cover of Frankie and Johnny. Why, you may be asking? Well, I think the Colonel and RCA felt that Elvis looked a little bit heavier than what he would normally, and a little bit pasty. Now if you look at the original shot, or the original album cover that was designed for Frankie and Johnny, you've also got Donna Douglas on it. Now she was airbrushed, and if you look at Elvis's features, they are a little bit heavier or fuller in the face than what he would normally be. Now we know 66, Elvis was going through a bit of turmoil in his life. He was getting fed up with the movies. He was on a spiritual quest. The Colonel burnt all of his spiritual books. He wasn't at a happy time in his life, and it would take a record to get him kind of back on track in his recording career. We'll come on to that a little bit later, but there you go. That's the mono version. I don't have the stereo version. I do have it in the USA presses, but not in the mono, so hopefully that will show up at some point. Next we get on to Paradise Hawaiian Star. Now once again, they're not using an image from Elvis from 66. We are reverting back to an image of Elvis from 1963. Now this is from Paradise Hawaiian Style. I love the album cover on this. I think it looks fantastic. This would also show, or would have, a bonus song on it, which was Sandcastles, which wasn't actually released in the film, but did find its way on here, and it's a really nice track as well, really nice. So that was the mono version. I have the stereo version of it as well, but I thought I'd pull that one out for you. Next we get on to Elvis California Holiday. Would be known as Spin Out in the United States, but in this country, California Holiday. And of course we are now back in earnest with the bonus songs. We've got 3 on here, so that would become a permanent fixture on the albums to follow. You can see this is a stereo release. I do have a mono version as well. Quite not difficult to find this one, but to find it in this condition, so that's really nice. That was the last album of 66. We now get into 1967, and remember when I said about Elvis, they tried to get him back in the studio, and we all know that Elvis's primary love in any popular song would be gospel. So that is how they got him back in the studio to record How Great Thou Art, one of the very few albums that he won a Grammy Award for. This is a mono copy. Once again, we have got the red spot with the black label. Now this was the first time that Dynagroove had appeared on a label. I might refer to my notes for this to tell you what Dynagroove is, or the proper explanation. Dynagroove is a recording process introduced by RCA in 1963 that for the first time used analog computers to modify the audio signal used to produce master discs for LPs. So there you go. I don't know how popular it was, and I've heard some concerning remarks that it affected the quality of the recording, but to be honest, I've never heard anything that I wasn't happy with. And like I say, one of Elvis's most important recordings there from 1967. The second album released from 1967, and which would be the last from 67, would be Double Trouble. This is a stereo copy. There are 4 bonus songs on this one, so that indicates now there's not enough material in the films, and we're having to go elsewhere to find bonus songs. Now we're actually we're going years previous to gain these songs. Never ending, what now, what next, where to. So these are songs that were recorded previously and used to fill up this album. Anyway, that's the last one for 67. We get into 1968, where we get straight into Clambake. This is the stereo version of this. I also have, once again, the mono. This has 4 bonus songs on it yet again. Now the You Don't Know Me on here is very different from the one that was released in the film. The studio cut version is much better than the film one. A particular favourite of mine. I think it's superbly recorded. You can see we are still with the black label and the red dot. Very nice. Next we get on to Elvis Gold Records Volume 4. Now what's interesting of note on this is that it has the track Never Ending printed on the label, not on the record though. It should have said Love Letters. So that was an anomaly that later RCA would rectify. But for now, some of these got out. I'm lucky to have a really nice copy of it. You can find them, they're not that difficult to find, as I think it took them quite a while to realise what they had done. You can see we're still on the black label with the red spots. And the very last album from 1968 is Speedway. It's a really nice copy, this one. Once again, another stereo version. Now this would be the very last album that would have a black label. It would revert, or it would go to a small orange label, but for 1 year only and for one album only. A new album, that is. So there you go, that's Speedway. I really like that. I think it's a great album cover. Obviously they changed it later with the FTD releases. They just had a single image of him on the front, but I like the original. And next we go into 1969 Elvis TV special, or the comeback special it's affectionately known. Great album cover, very famous. What a great image of Elvis singing If I Can Dream. Now as you can see, the original release of these had the small orange label, which was released only for this album when new. Now they did re-release other albums. You can see we've got Gold Records here again with the small orange label. So they would reissue them, but for a new album, it was only this one, which is really nice. This is a really nice copy to have. I don't even think this one's been played, it's spotless. Next, we get into Elvis Sings Flaming Star. This is done RCA with Camden, or International Camden label as well. Brilliant cover on this. I really like this one. What a striking image of Elvis. There's the back. And of course now we've gone over to the green International label, which would become very famous through the early 70s for a short period of time. And last but not least, probably in his top 2 or 3 albums ever from Elvis in Memphis. This is a mono version. We've got the stereo here as well. But I don't even think this has been played, because when I took it out the sleeve, there was so much static, it would indicate to me it's never come out of its sleeve. This is a really nice copy. Of course, everyone's familiar with this album cover. And there we go back into the large orange label. So, as I mentioned earlier, the 68 special, which was released in 69, would only have the small orange label for this release only for a new album. And then we would go straight into the large orange label, which would become synonymous throughout the 70s. I think that concludes that. Yep. I want to make a special mention. You can see here I've got a t-shirt on. Now, I must point out before I start, I'll get no financial gain from this. This is nothing to do with advertising or trying to make that extra buck. This is purely about a product that I really like. Now, I got this off an eBay site called TCB with me. I'll put the link up on the screen. But I messaged the guy just to say thank you for the t-shirt. And it turns out he's a massive Elvis fan, and you can tell by the quality of his t-shirts and the designs that he has. He has so many, and clearly knows he's Elvis because he uses quotes, he uses different pictures that are not, you know, they're not always familiar pictures, but a great selection in t-shirts. As I say, TCB with me, you can find him on eBay. Great guy to do business with, and I might feature a t-shirt of his in every video that I do, but we'll see. But anyway, thanks for watching. Next week I'm going to do something different again. I'm probably going to do Elvis's boxed LP sets from 1990 up until the 2000s. So we'll see what that looks like. Thank you for watching, and TCB. Thank you.